Welcome to Three Devs and a Maybe, the podcast series for beginner web developers and general web enthusiasts. Now, introducing your show hosts, Michael Budd, Fraser Hart, Lewis Keynes, and Ed Mann.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the most disorganised episode of Three Devs and a Maybe ever. With me today is Ed Mann.
Hello.
And Lewis Keynes.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am tired, stressed, and just about ready to kill myself.
In love with the world. We're back! Yeah. We're back!
We are back, but I should start by apologising to people because I guess we've missed 2 episodes.
I think so, yeah.
Just basically, life got in the way.
Life. We are not machines, people.
Yeah, and we may even have to review how regularly we do the pod. It could become a bi-monthly or a monthly thing, right? But we need to have that conversation. And and if anyone's got really strong thoughts about that, then just contact us on the usual email address or Twitter, and we'll try and do what the majority say. But
what were they going to say? No, you have to do it daily, or no, never do it again. It's like, okay.
I didn't think that through.
Oh, how's Toby?
What is Dennis? Oh, sorry, Toby.
Dennis.
Hang on. Dennis is the cat. Toby's the baby, isn't it? Sorry,
well,
I got that wrong.
This is it. I mean, this podcast has all the potential to be the worst podcast ever because basically I am home alone with Toby, so I am just hoping and praying that he doesn't start screaming and crying throughout the podcast.
Well, I'd like to think you had a negotiation.
Where are you, Lewis?
I'm on my sofa with in a nice, perfectly quiet house, nice and peaceful.
Have you had a couple of drinks already? That is the question.
Only a couple, and I've had a very, very bad game of golf this morning. So
right.
I'm not in the best frame of mind either.
Then. Hence the drinks, and I am literally in my old room, which has now been turned into a study or an office space for my dad's company. Literally sitting here with Wi-Fi with my shiny new MacBook Pro, So I'm happy with that. Oh yeah.
Ed Mann has
Which one did you go for?
The nest.
I went for the bog standard 15-inch. It's quad core i7, 2.2 gigahertz. It's 16 gig of RAM, 250 50 gigabyte SSD hard drive, Retina display. Seriously, it costs a lot, but it's amazing.
Yeah, that really sounds like bog standard.
It's amazing.
I've gone for the bog standard 15-inch. There's a man who thinks a lot about himself, isn't it?
I've just ordered the exact same model for my dad.
Really? God, you must love your dad.
Oh, no, I'm not paying for it.
You must hate your dad. You must hate your dad.
But he came through to me because of my uni discount and stuff. So why didn't you come to me? Please tell me you got discount.
I may be able to get this through business stuff, so it could work out quite well. But I should have actually thought about you. That was
you should get me discounts for stuff. What do I need?
Well, basically, if you come to me, I can get my university discount for Apple products.
That's
pretty cool.
So, like my dad's MacBook Pro is like $850.
What?
Yeah.
How much discount do you get?
I think it's about 13%.
13. Did you get a 15 or a 13-inch?
A 15.
Wow, I must have got. Well, I feel a bit numpty then.
Is it too early in the podcast for a little rant at Apple?
No,
rant. Go for it, man.
How bad is this? It was my 23rd birthday.
Yep. Your 23rd.
A couple of months.
Yep.
Certainly not the 31st. Anyway, so Mike, you very generously gave me a gift card, one of those Visa, whatever it is, that you can kind of use online. Yeah. And I finally got around to actually spending it recently, and I thought, I'll just get some iTunes vouchers so I can get some music for my iPod.
Yeah.
And I went to the Apple iStore and I accidentally just bought an Apple general gift card instead of the iTunes one, and I was like, oops, never mind, I'm sure I can just transfer that over to using the iTunes store.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
No, you can't. No. So I'm now stuck with £250 gift voucher. Cheers, Mike. Very generous. No, I've stuck with this gift voucher now for the Apple Store that there isn't really anything on there that I need. I've got my laptop, I've got my iPod, I've got headphones and everything, but I really wanted the iTunes credit, but I can't transfer it over.
Surely, they must be. I mean, what did they say? Have you rung them up or anything?
Yeah, it's against their policy. They don't do it.
What? That doesn't sound like Apple.
well, this is what happened.
Nah, yeah. Well,
Apple, we're a mainstream podcast these days. If you hear this, I'm El Kane's web dev on Twitter. Let's just put this right, and I'll big you up.
Ed, I owe you an apology. It was a 13-inch MacBook Pro.
Oh, you see, you lied to me.
Retina. Yeah, I did. Sorry.
The Retina display is just amazing.
You know what? Time you've lied about inches.
I wasn't fussed about the Retina, but my dad really wanted it. So I was like,
really, just honestly, man. Like, I just looking at it now, it's just perfect. Like, it is again. It's so sad because, like, I remember you and Fraser talking about your MacBook Airs.
Yeah.
And then I'm just now completely being a little bit of a fanboy. Sorry, listeners, but it's awesome.
Can we just mention Fraser's WhatsApp message for why he's not here today?
Yes,
because this is interesting, isn't it?
I didn't see it. Go on.
His friend's mobile phone got stolen last night.
Right.
And they've since found out who stole it, and they're currently staking out their house.
Are you kidding me?
No,
I'm serious.
Typical Fraser. He goes off to Paris.
Sounds very ghetto, but I'm sure it's not.
He goes to Paris.
Like
he goes off to Paris. He bikes to Paris. He goes off to Latvia. No, it wasn't Latvia, was it? Or
yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, and then this weekend he's staking out a joint because in fact probably found the guy's iPhone. Where's my iPhone thing, and he's going to go and deal with some.
But it sounds very hardcore, but I'm sure the guys are going to turn up and they'll probably just get out of the car. Excuse me, can I have my phone back, please?
I was going to say, have they got a plan of what they're actually going to do?
Who knows? This is why I said to him, keep us informed.
Yeah,
so.
Either throughout the podcast we can keep you up to date, or we'll have to let you know next pod.
Yeah.
Anyone want to make a prediction?
Probably Fraser in prison.
Yeah, at least 5 years.
Yeah,
I think if this was a live screencast podcast, the picture that Fraser put on WhatsApp in the week would be a perfect time to put that on screen now. That we're That's a conversation not for we went off the tangent that day, didn't we?
We did. That's very cool. Nice.
So Mickey, how's uni treating you?
So it's really, really good. Obviously, I bang on about this all the time, but yeah, just juggling everything is a nightmare. And but one thing I would say is, I think I told you guys that I'm doing this one module. It's no programming; it's all maths and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was really struggling with this one central equation, and I was in this terminal session doing this stuff, and I really struggled. And I thought, you know what, I'll take it home and I'll try and learn it. And then I spent a whole week not being able to do it. And just stressing. I mean, to you guys who know me, this will not surprise you. But basically, I just kind of thought, you know what, I need to swallow my pride. And I went into a week later, I went to the terminal session. I was like, I'm really stuck. I don't know what I'm doing. And this really nice German PhD student lady helped me through it and helped me understand it. And I just felt like a weight lifted off my shoulder, to be honest.
That's very cool. There are nice people out there.
Yeah.
You know what? The thing is, because a lot of the people around me, they're all 22, 23, and I felt intimidated about asking for help, and I was too proud. And
you have pride. What? You have a lot of pride.
Well, I kind of come to the conclusion now, look, it's better to look an idiot and then be less of an intellectual idiot when you come out the room. Do you know what I mean?
You're there to learn. At the end of the day, does anyone know everything when they start? No. You have to learn it somehow, and people teach you, and
And you know what the other thing is, though? I was thinking, I was feeling so stupid, I don't know this. And no one else is saying anything. And then you ask for help, and she's like, yeah, I know exactly which equation you're talking about.
Everyone's struggling
with it.
Yep. It's always the rest of the class always goes, oh, thank God that person asked.
Yeah,
exactly.
They will. You're the pigeon head. I don't know why I said pigeon head.
Would you like to present the problem to me and Ed, and we'll see if we...
Not a chance, are we going to...
Come on, Ed, let's give it a go. What's the worst that can happen?
Are you too good with maths, or...?
Reasonable.
No.
Okay, well...
On Countdown, occasionally I get the numbers. Is that enough of a prerequisite for you?
I honestly think, for people who know maths, they'll just look at it and laugh and think it's so easy. But I'll put it in the show notes if you want, and then you can have a look at it. But yeah, it's... Do you know what? A lot of the things is, I actually pretty can do this stuff, but I don't know, the symbols and what they mean. Theta and delta and all these kind of things. I've never used them. So how would I know what they are? So I'm having to learn all this stuff.
What learning is, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I love it. I really love it. And this week I've got a project week, and I've taken a week off work so I can kind of catch up with my studies. And but the other module is it's really, really interesting, but it's progressing so quick. And I've had to do these catch up classes on using Linux and we had to do all these exercises. Like I think I told you guys, like installing Apache from source and then installing this open LDAP database thing from source. Everything's from source, so you're not allowed to use apt-get or anything like that. You're not allowed to, so which is good because you learn how to configure things and install them. But it's
I must admit, I don't think I've ever seen that through to the end. I've always tried.
Well, that's
given up on it.
That's the thing. I think I would have given up if it wasn't like a uni assignment. So it kind of pushes you and drives you to do that. And
I guess you've got access to better resources to actually learn how to do it properly than I have, perhaps.
Do you know what, mate? You'd think that, but literally, you go to these terminal sessions and they say, go to apache.org or whatever it is and install it from source. And that is it. And then they'll tell you to do certain things, but they don't tell you how to do it. It's all about
research,
you doing it yourself.
I mean, that's quite cool. I mean, I'm sure you love like make and all that stuff now. Make install.
I do until things go wrong. But,
and you just I remember you showing me make stuff, Ed. Actually, what was it we were trying to do?
Well,
I can't remember what it was.
Make's just not even a build
make
tool,
file.
Really. Yeah, it's just
we're using it to transfer files via FTP.
Yeah,
with the command line.
Well, because it's just the way it does it is it's just like keys to then actions, like shell script actions. So it's really quite cool, and then you can look through it. But then it's good. It's useful for C projects and stuff. They use that a lot. And then you have your flags and stuff, but every C project is so different from one another that you have to be in with the lingo for that one thing. It's dash da I need, or and stuff like that. So it is very specific, and you do rely heavily on the documentation or reading source if you're that crazy to actually work out how to install it.
One simple thing I found really useful the other day, and you guys will probably just laugh at me, but I didn't know about this because I don't really use. I'm pretty bad and I don't use the command line that much, and some Unix commands I don't know. And just the other day, I just found out that like if you put like the ampersand at the end of a statement, that then you don't lose control of the terminal. You can then do more commands, because I've always done things like like when you're starting up like a local environment using PHP-s localhost whatever, and then like once you've done that, you can't do anything else, right? Unless you open a new tab or a new terminal. But if you put like an ampersand at the end.
Yeah, it chucks it off it chucks it into its jobs, doesn't it? Like a background process, and then you can pull it back with like just type in jobs or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was a nice little thing. But yeah, otherwise, just learning things like piping programs, all that kind of stuff has been really.
How cool
really
is the
useful.
Unix philosophy though? Like the simpleness. I mean, we're going back to that now with like microservices. I've got a couple of YouTube videos that I need to tell the audience about and stuff like microservices and all this kind of lingo, but really all it's about is what Unix have done since the 1970s. So all these ideas come back around and everything.
It is really cool, and I think I used to criticize you when you started using what was that distro that you used, the really stripped back distro,
Arch Linux.
Arch Linux, yeah. And now I can see the appeal. Actually, I really can, and it seems so lightweight. I love macOS, don't get me wrong, but
there is a massive drawback to Arch Linux, though.
What's that?
You can't get a Wi-Fi connection in Weatherspoon. Can
with a fact, #fact.
We met up for a geek out. Educated informal session, not geek out. And it backfired because Ed couldn't get a connection.
It's probably because I'd updated something, and this is what happens: you update one thing because it's a rolling release cycle thing, so it doesn't have like fixed releases. It just you get one version of it, and it will update to the latest, and it will update each individual bit as and when. So obviously, if you update something, then some things do have problems because you're on the bleeding edge with this thing, really. And someone's just cracked open another can, and I'm respecting that.
I wish it was me.
Mickey, you're parenting alone. That's
exactly.
I can't believe that.
Would you guys mind? I've got two things that I'd actually like to talk about that from my lectures, if that's all right.
Go
just
for it,
really quickly, and then I'll shut up and let you guys take over. But
go for it.
Basically, so one of them is like, if you guys got like the contactless payment thing on your cards and stuff.
Oh no, I want one though. Like, I've got a new card. I've got a joint account, and I've got the contactless thing, but it's with Adam and Dave, and I don't think they'd let me just buy stuff with the joint account.
Well,
that's using your phone to pay for stuff, is it?
Well, that is one way you can do it, but like on your card when you've got like these, like the 3 stripes on it and stuff.
Yeah, I've got the card, but I've never done that. Actually done it.
So basically, they are so dangerous. They're
Really?
just crazy.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Basically, if you get one, you should get like a Faraday cage type thing that blocks the signal. They're that dangerous. And there's a thing actually on BBC Today, and I'll put a link in the show notes. But you think you can only take like a £20 payment and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They're like the limit. So in case.
So they've just recently. In fact, it wasn't discovered by criminals. It was discovered by, I think it's University of Newcastle. But like they managed to like take payment.
So criminals then. I'm joking. I'm joking. I love the North.
They took like a payment.
I hate that
£1,000.
man slagging us off again. That was supposed to be my Geordie
I think
accent.
they'd be more offended by the accent.
Yeah, apologies. Yeah, sorry.
I loved it. But they took like £1,000 payment off there. And I think like someone was able to take payment off there from about 50 metres away or something ridiculous. And just the other day, weirdly, I went to get McDonald's and I was just taking out my card to select a card, and the payment was just taken off straight away off the card that I wasn't going to use. Yeah, it just picked it up. I wasn't holding it against the machine or anything like that. It just literally, it was too close and it just took it.
That is pretty scary.
So are you saying just actually having the card itself is a risk?
Yeah, because it's a big thing in London now, especially with like Oyster cards as well. I think they've got some sort of contactless thing.
They've got that, yeah.
It's called is it an RDIF attack, I think, or something like that? But yeah, basically...
That's what they issue as standard, though? They just, when you're due a new card, do they just send one out with having that on it? Because mine has.
Yeah.
And I don't remember ever asking.
Yeah, you don't have any option. I think it's a Visa thing, isn't it? But they basically, these people just want you to spend your money as quickly as possible. They don't care about the security. And it's a massive security flaw, basically. And people are saying, well, my lecturer was saying as well, and he's employed or contracted by other companies to do hacking attempts and stuff, ethical hacking. And he's basically saying it's just a massive, massive cock-up bringing it in.
That's crazy. I didn't realise that. You don't realise that until you talk... Because you always think, like, I suppose, talking to him, he's very security conscious, so he's probably a bit over the top. But in this kind of scenario, this actually does sound like a real world, oh, wow, this actually could...
Yeah. I mean, like he says, security guys, they are paranoid. They're always paranoid.
Yeah, that's how they do their job. That's what they're good at, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And... But yeah, he's saying if you get one, first thing you should do is just basically get rid of it or cover it or whatever.
So can you actually disable it? Like I know with like magnets, you can like normal.
Yeah.
You can,
this is it again. It's beyond my technical knowledge, but I think there's something called like a Faraday cage, which is like you have to Wikipedia it, but it kind of blocks any like signals coming.
So you would still have the ability to use it, but it wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, you just take it out the sleeve when you want to use it, and
that seems like a right pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's not thought through, and the other thing he was slagging off was basically, I think there's a few banks that do this. In fact, I think mine do this. I don't know if, but NatWest apparently the ones that are caught out because they.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Are you with NatWest?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a password for your internet banking. There's no card that you have to type in any digits with or anything like that. Is that right?
You have a password. You have to first of all you have your own like unique identifier to the bank, and then you have your I think there's 2 levels to it. There's I can't remember if the first one's based around your date of birth.
Okay.
And that's nothing to do with what my characters are.
Well, you just mentioned the keywords I was hoping you'd say actually, which was what was it, 2 levels or whatever?
Yeah.
But basically, there's a huge difference between what they call 2-step authentication and 2-factor authentication.
Yeah, oh, this is going to be awesome. I've got something to show you as well, security-wise. Yes, this is going to be fun. Good.
Cool. But basically, NatWest, if you bank with them, your internet banking is not safe at all, and it could be hacked at any time.
But so what about Rapport? They keep asking me to download Rapport.
Yeah,
is that the whole thing? Is that the ultimate? Will that protect me from everything then?
You know what?
I highly doubt it.
I'm not expert enough to tell you. I don't know, but I would certainly do something because... I'm the same with Santander, they don't, but you should have a second thing like one of those cards. I had one for HSBC where you have to type in a number as well.
Yeah, I've got that, but you only have to do that to transfer money out.
Well, that's okay. I think NatWest maybe they caught on because I think they got caught out and maybe now they've stepped up their security, so maybe you're okay. But if you haven't got one of those, then chances are your security on your internet banking is not strong enough.
Well, Santander, because I'm with Santander as well, and the way they do is they don't have like something you own, something you have to use, like like a machine that produces a random password, one-time password. what they do is they're quite clever. They have, like, as you say, they have their unique ID, then they have a password and a register code or something.
Right.
But on that page, when you're typing those in, you've provided you've actually provided them so they know, like, an image that you selected and also like a random piece of text that you have to type in.
Right,
so you know that
they do that.
It's very clever because it's like, then you know that you're not on a fake, because that can't be replicated unless you've got the whole database of all the users, on a, so that people with phishing attacks and stuff, they can't do that. And then obviously the other thing they do is like the two-factor authentication. One of the the ones commonly now with like Google and I think Dropbox do it, is with a password that's sent to your phone. So like with Santander currently they do that where when you exchanging money for accounts, it will just send you a one-time password that you have to type in. Google do make it so you can log in with a two-factor authentication do it using your mobile, but it's a bit of a pain, like logging into your email and having to get to your phone to type in a code. Yeah. But I've got something to talk about, which is linked onto this. So I actually have been the last couple of weeks looking at, like, I don't know if you've looked at, like, my password situation. I used to use 1Password, which was a Mac application that it was an encrypted store. It's not open source. There's an open source equivalent, but it was an encrypted store that allowed you to have random passwords. You had one master password. You could open up this application and it would have everything else. And you'd store all your passwords in Dropbox, and they're all secure and everything. There's also one actually coming out now, which is very Unix philosophy-wise, which looks pretty cool. I think it's called Pass, I think it is. And like that just uses GPA, just encrypted text files for each password. But I digress on that. But I now use something called LastPass. And I don't know if you've heard of LastPass.
Yeah, everyone at work uses it. I haven't.
It's awesome. I mean, the only thing about it is the GUI is ugly. Fugly. Right. It is very, very ugly. But it makes you think actually they're more in tune and caring about the tech side than they are the UI side, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So you pay for this, and your content is actually encrypted down the wire. It gets unencrypted in JavaScript. You view it on your web browser. You use it like that, and then it gets encrypted and then goes to their servers. So it's actually, even throughout the whole process, it's encrypted to them as well. So they don't actually know what's in there.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, I like that.
On top of that, so then you have your master password. But as you were saying, like, two-step authentication is different to two-factor.
Yeah.
And multi-factor. And the idea is that there's three things you can do. You can do something which would be a password, something you own, such as those devices that these banks give you that has, that you can create, and something you are. So maybe like a fingerprint scanner or an eye scanner. And those three together are like, pretty strong. I use something now called an YubiKey.
YubiKey? Tell me more.
Now, you'll love them. So I've bought two of them. What they are is... I bought it because OnePass uses it. The YubiKeys are open source. I'll just put this in... It's a hardware device. Let me just put this in the chat. I can't believe you actually started talking about the security. So I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about as well. So there's YubiKey. And the idea of it is it's a small little, it's really clever because it's a small USB keyboard emulator driver that is just, there's a couple of versions. You've got a nano one that you can fit into your MacBook, which I'm currently using now. I've got one on my key that you plug in. And what the idea is, so what you do is you have your master password, and then you use this YubiKey, which you plug into the computer, and then you press the button on it, and it will then fire off a one-time password that will only exist for that one time. They can't do any like replay attacks or anything because it has a ticker on it, and it's so cool.
That sounds awesome.
It's £17 for the base bog one, and I put it on my keys, and it's solid. Like, you think, oh, it's going to be on your keys, it's going to get broken. I'm rabbling around, it doesn't, But the cool thing is it's got so much open source. It's open source in the sense, so they actually run servers, because what happens is it has to connect to their server to actually make sure that you're connecting with the correct thing. So you have that thing, but they provide that service for free because you just buy the device.
What sort of things are you protecting with this?
My passwords. So I store everything on LastPass. I mean, everything. Anything about me is on LastPass.
So this is a thing that protects your passwords?
It's a thing that
it's not an actual password itself. It's a password
it is, because it's a one-time password. So it generates a one-time password that gets shot in. So it's like what happens with the with the devices that you use, the external hardware devices, because they're set to the correct clock or something similar like that, and then they'll produce the same code and they'll know what's going on there. But the nice thing about it is because it's open source software, there's so many plugins and stuff you're able to do, and you can create your own ones really easy, like in PHP. So you could create an application, a web application that uses YubiKey to log you in as well, which is pretty cool. And it's cheap, and it's safe and secure, and it's not much of a pain. Like, I have one in my MacBook Pro, and it's the Nano one where you just plug it in and it just stays into your MacBook Pro forever now. So I've got one that I go around with my LastPass, boom, and then I've got this one where I just use it in my MacBook Pro, and yeah, probably a bit of
an interesting concept for like creating passwords, isn't it? Like,
well, because
like using the time that a password was created.
Well,
is that what you're saying?
No, so one-time password. So what it does is it generates this massively long string that works out that the first bit of it, I think, is the actual identifier for that individual YubiKey. Then it's this random gobbledygook. But that inside of there, it also has the tick, so how many times you've actually pressed it. Because what could happen is someone could get that key once, but then you've reused it, and the clock. There's a ticker going on inside the device here, and also inside the device, I think, in the server, or maybe only the server does it. But then it knows that you can't use that password again. It knows that you can't replay it, which is so cool. I don't know the technical stuff. I really am trying to learn that stuff in my free time because I think it's just amazing.
So is it a lot more based around like the like logical reasons rather than the actual kind of trying to crack the sequence of characters in the password?
It's impossible, really, because to actually log in, you'd need my password that I know, and then this is the two-factor part, the password I know and the YubiKey that I own. And I've only got two YubiKeys that are actually permanently hooked up to my account. So unless you come around and get them, you can't log in. It's awesome. But anyway, I'll let you guys talk again.
No, it's cool. I must have, like, security again. I must have spent the best part of my last 3 weeks just on form validation. It's just mind numbing. It's just really mind numbing.
Awesome.
Well, it's not the rock and roll of programming, is it? Like trying to protect against all that stuff. Well, that's the trouble
because the users. The one thing is never trust your user. And it's not the fact that they're going to be malicious, but make sure that they could be malicious. But it's the fact that they will do stupid stuff. They just will, they don't even mean to break it, but they'll break it. It's in their nature.
It's such a scary and huge topic because like no one can say anything is unbreakable.
No.
The best you can hope for is
in fact that's what they do say, isn't it?
Well, some people do, but all you can do is hope that something would take so much time that it becomes...
Well, that's it. It's infeasible, isn't it? It's the time
thing. It's infeasible.
Yeah,
that's what you're hoping for.
It's the fact that, this password will take, 1,000,000 years to crack. And you're like,
hackers are going to go for the easy targets. And if they can't, they'll move on.
Well, this is it. And this is why I recommend, and I'm trying to get my dad to do this now, is just use LastPass. It costs like £5 a year to have the mobile app as well. And just use it. And then what I do each couple of months, I just do a quick change all my passwords, just do a quick refresh, and just they generate the password, and you just go to the site, update it and everything. And it may be that I'm being over paranoid, but really
I don't think you are. I wish I was. I'm just so lazy, and I'm glad you're not, but I need to follow your example, and certainly learning about it all makes me think I should
honestly
do this stuff. But.
Use LastPass and use an YubiKey, and the thing is you can store everything, so you've got all your details, all your bank details, all your security questions, everything that you do, because obviously another thing is these security questions that people ask. No one should put in a real, a legit question, a legit answer to those questions. Because you can get social engineered, hacked easily. What's the name of my first dog?
It's such a bad decision, isn't it, by companies that do that?
Yeah. And they all do. And people are trying to make obscure questions, but people around you will know.
What's your mother's maiden name? Who couldn't work that out for someone?
Exactly. And it's actually quite scary because a lot of people just use that one because it's an easy one, and you should just make up fake things, and that's what I do. I make up fake ones of them, and I store the question store the answer, the question and the answer in LastPass. I've got my one password, I've got my YubiKey, that logs me in, I have all my data, and it's all safe. And it's actually more. I'm doing the more lazy option of not having to remember stuff. I only remember one password, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because when it comes to things like passwords and locking things down, it's obviously a good idea to do all that stuff. But does it then at some point become like overkill? Like if it's not a banking website or something like that, but someone has a secure password, if you're then suddenly like they're giving their password and then you're asking them to provide an answer to a security question and stuff like that just to log into something simple.
Well, it's
like
funny,
where
isn't
do
it?
you draw the line?
Because a lot of people think that because they all these passwords validation stuff, like you must specify one character, one uppercase, one lowercase, and one ASCII underscore or something. And the thing is that actually helps the hacker because then they know now to randomize where to put things and stuff.
The pattern of things.
The pattern of things. You've now got a pattern. Beforehand, you didn't know what that had to include that. Now you know you have to include that. So that's one funny thing. Another thing is that people do use the same password for everything because there's how do you remember all these passwords? And normally what happens is people
not me, Ed. I have 27 different passwords.
Really?
And I remember all of them.
Well, that'd be impressive because it was funny because
Lewis Kane's 1, Lewis Kane's 2.
This is it, and they just do
3.
increments, don't they? And it was funny because a lot of it, people thought, "Oh, go leet speak," and change 5s, S's for 5s, and all that to kind of make it a bit more. But actually, there was a KCD. I think it's KCD. Do you know the cartoons?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
the KCD cartoon. I think it's KCD. Let me just have a quick look. Password. And he said XKCD. Yeah, and he said about password strength. And he said actually, I'll put it in the show notes, and I'll just send it to you here on Skype. He actually said on it that it's actually easier to have like 3 random dictionary words.
That doesn't look like the kind of URL I want to click on, Ed.
It does actually look pretty dodgy, doesn't it? But he actually said that it's actually better to have. Like 3 dictionary words separated out with a space or with a dash or with a star or something. So you could have like smelly cheese sauce, and you remember that. You will remember that, and it won't be this.
Got into Ed's bank account, happy
and
day.
you got into everything now, But it's quite interesting that actually you could just use 3 dictionary words joined together with a special, with a certain character, and it's as secure, if not more secure, than these randomized passwords.
I think just getting back to what like you were saying though, I mean, I don't think there is anything such as overkill, but certainly from like a business perspective, like I think there is an equation, I can't remember what it is, but it's basically, you've got to calculate the risk, and then in response to that, you can work out what the total cost you should put on protecting those assets.
So
basically.
true. I mean, that is one, and another thing is like, what people say, why do people still use BlackBerries? Well, the reason is because they're so locked down devices. They can control everything. They can say you're allowed in these areas of the phone. They say, oh, we will log if you go into this area. Like say if they're trying to do a setting thing or something, they've logged that you were doing that on the phone. They know that they can remote wipe it. Obviously, everyone can do that, but they can also disable features on the fly. There's a reason why they're around still. Is because these big companies need to know exactly what's going on with this device. And that was one of the reasons why, really the iPhone has come around and people want it and everything, but companies are so scared of it because it isn't as secure as a BlackBerry.
No, that's really interesting.
Locking it down is, because it was funny because we were doing, a couple of weeks ago, I think I talked on the podcast about it, but we were doing some BlackBerry testing for this email problem. And my boss was like, I asked, why do people still use these? And he said, because of this. And he has a person who works in another company and they use BlackBerry still because of this. You can't get over the fact that they are the most secure. That's why Obama uses one. He has his BlackBerry and,
Wow, I didn't realise that. Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're rubbish.
They are. Oh, they're awful.
Yeah.
I think half the security in them is the fact that they're unusable. If you can actually get to the main menu on it, you've literally cracked the code.
Who's going to hack a BlackBerry? You can't even turn the thing on.
Exactly.
Crash.
And I hate it on the train. You just hear the little chiclet keys going. It's like, go away. Oh dear.
I remember at one point a few years back thinking they were the height of sophistication.
Well, they made you look like you were a businessman, and now they just make you you're either too poor, lazy to get a good phone, or you're an idiot.
Actually see my old BlackBerry from here, and
can you?
Thinking I hate you.
To be honest with you, it's still around. It doesn't want to get away from you. We've had we had like barmaids come, rushing out.
Yeah.
Of pubs.
That's why I can't throw it away, because every time I lose a phone, which is often, I go back to it.
Did you guys see that thing? There's something on Twitter, and I don't know if this was a joke or not. I tried it and I couldn't get to it, but someone was saying like with Siri, like if you like did a Siri and asked for like Wikipedia, basically anything, it would come up with like a Wikipedia article, and then you could somehow get out of Safari and bypass like the locking of the phone.
That doesn't surprise me. A couple of things like that have happened, haven't they? Where there's backdoors into.
That's so weak. But
it does seem bad.
I mean,
it?
This is the thing about Apple. I know we've had a little bit. What was it? 8.0. Didn't you say that on 8.0 you couldn't download stuff in Safari?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. 8.01 they released. They actually crashed phones, bricked phones.
Yeah,
and then they had to roll back, remove that. And then 8.02. I mean, I don't know what happened there, but now and then it's on 8.1 now. So. Yeah, a little bit.
I take it's still on my 4S. It's still not worth even going there.
I wouldn't bother, and that's enough. I do love the fact that Apple do provide older phones with the new software, but it doesn't work. Like 4S. I remember when I was on my 3GS, and I think it was 3GS. Or was it? Yeah, my 3GS. Oh no, my 4, and it was with iOS 7. Unusable, because it's just like, it literally is. They don't bother testing, but they make sure it works. But whether they actually do usability on it, it's just unusable.
Can we talk about clients?
Yes, go for it.
Talk about clients.
No, I don't want to change my mind.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Solid.
No.
Was that a joke? That was a joke about clients.
No, it wasn't. No.
But it could have been. That was a good joke. It's like, I've changed my mind. I'm a client.
Yeah.
No,
actually, it was. Yeah, I'll take that, because even though I didn't figure out the joke at the time, I will take that, because that's a good one. Thanks, Ed.
No worries, sir.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that thing where you take 3 or 4 weeks out of your life to pretty much focus wholeheartedly to get a website done to meet a deadline for someone else?
Yep.
Yeah.
To fulfil your end of the bargain, for them to not do
solid,
and for them for the deadline to...
Yeah, and not even them to do anything. It's not like they've even tried. Yeah.
And I know that they haven't done anything, because for any kind of activity that would come from their end, I set it up to trigger me an email.
Really?
I've had bearing in mind we went down and had a meeting with these. I'm obviously being unspecific, so there's nothing libelous going on here, is there? It's all fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went down for a meeting with these guys in out of Mongolia a couple of weeks ago.
Mongolia, yep.
Yeah, and basically been getting pressure for a good few weeks to meet this deadline, and had a meeting, and our competitors are out there doing this already, so we need to get this website live ASAP, so that we can compete against them. And I was like, yep, fine, no problem at all. Let's decide today, like, what I need to do, what you need to do. Here is our deadline. Let's get it all thrashed out on paper so we know what we need to do to make sure that this deadline's met. Came away from the meeting, no problem at all, and here we are now with deadline supposedly on Monday. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do, and they have done literally nothing.
Solid.
For what they were supposed to do.
Solid
person. And I have a Trello list for what they were supposed to do. Like, this whole thing was organised via Trello and everything, and they have done literally nothing. So it's a real heartbreaking job sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is just appalling, though. I mean, have they given any feedback on why they haven't done it?
No, we've had literally no contact at all.
And this is a client?
Yeah, this is a client. Apart from, I had one email the week before last saying they tried to upload an image and it hadn't worked, or something like that. So I immediately went on and tried to upload an image, and of course it worked fine. So I said to them, well, can you tell me exactly what you tried to do, and I'll try and emulate that, and I'll let you know. And yeah, got no response to that either. Oh. It's I don't think people, and apart from there are the devs, understand some of these kind of things that we go through sometimes when trying to. We're all good-natured people. We're all trying to meet the needs of the people that we're building these things for, and they just don't ever seem to want to play ball with us, do they?
Well, I do find actually, that they that these people will say, you will tell them, please, can you test this? Can you please tell me, or accept it as testing? Can you please tell me this is what you wanted? And no, they won't. And then it'll be the end of day. Yeah, and there'll be the end of play of the project, and they'll be like, I didn't want it like this. And you're like, you had weeks, months, even to give me feedback on it. You didn't. I assumed it was okay then. You can't spend your time as a developer, constantly harassing the client to check things or to approve, features or something. Yeah, that's awful.
I spent the best part of a week building like a whole inquiries feature, so the person will use like a contact form, and then they'll get an inquiry ticket back via email with a password and everything, and they can log on and track the status of their whole inquiry and everything. I don't even think they know I've made that for them.
Really? Oh,
yeah. I emailed it to them, but I got no response. So I don't even at this point know what the state of play is.
It's also some people's email addresses seem to be just black holes. It's like dev_null or dev/null, where you know that you're never going to get a reply.
Yeah. So it's frustrating. It really
think,
is.
like you say, like you have to be a dev to kind of appreciate that, because like if you put in a nice contact form and personally you spent a lot of time putting in really nice validation, doing all this nice stuff, to them it's just a contact form, and they just don't understand like the work that's gone into it and that kind of thing. But it is really frustrating, and I also think that people sometimes meet developers just really easy job just smashing away at a keyboard. And I don't think they realise the kind of mental stress that it.
I think they just think it's a GUI. I just think they think we use a GUI and we're like, oh, do you want it to do that? And it's just a checkbox that we click.
Yeah,
I mean,
we just talk to a computer, and the computer will just do it.
Yeah. Well, actually, sorry, just slightly segueing on that. Have you two heard of a site called, I think it's thegrid.io?
No, what's that?
I'm going to check that address, but I think that's right. So basically, it's an AI, artificial intelligence bot, basically builds websites for you. I think you provide it with like some information about yourself and some images and like what you want to do, and it will just create a unique design for you and build the site for you. No developer needed, no designer needed. Just does it all for you.
In which case, I resign now.
Well, we were all saying like we're going to be out of jobs, basically. But I was amazed that this kind of thing hasn't come out before, because technology's been there for years and years. It was would have been a huge project to do, to make that kind of learning algorithm and stuff. But I don't know. I honestly don't know how good it is, because you have to pay for it. I'm not going to sign up. But looking at the video, it looks amazing, and if they get that working good, then
do you say it's thegrid.io?
I think so. If not, just Google.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at thegrid.io.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, I think. Yeah.
The founding member 5,800.
Yeah,
it's just literally changed to 8,000.
Yeah. You just need to watch the video afterwards.
Do you remember counters on websites, like in your first days, and you'd refresh it and it would just be quickly going up? You're like, yeah.
Can we put one on FreeDev's website,
yes,
please?
And I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to make a script that just hits it all the time, because I love them. I used to do it, like, just to pretend, like, even in MySpace. Yeah. I don't know MySpace.
Yes.
And you'd, like, even though no one sees how many views you had, it was you, but when you logged in with someone next to you, you wanted to say, I've had that many views on my profile. And you used to just go in to log in at random places. Oh, it's embarrassing.
I think I just had one that was a GIF that just changed every 1 minute or something, or I don't know. But I remember being really excited the first time I put a web counter on my page. I felt like I was a big developer when I did that.
And then you realise no one looks at it. I think that's the worst part. You're like,
it's not working. Why is it not working?
It's obviously it's broken, because there's no way no one's visited this site.
How big is this homepage? I've been scrolling for ages, and I'm not even at the bottom of the page yet.
I've got to be honest, I didn't even know it scrolled. I thought it was a very minimalist site.
Mickey, typical Mick, reliable Mickey.
Didn't even look. But yeah,
I've got one actually. Git ignores.
Git ignores.
Yeah.
Okay,
Git ignores.
Yeah.
I know. By the way,
I don't pay any attention to it, to be honest. I've got no time for them.
With the project we're doing in Swift and everything in Xcode, the first thing, one of the things I was having to set up was using Git ignores and what needs to be ignored, because obviously in PHP projects now we're pretty familiar that we compose a .json, we want to keep that, and lock files we want to keep them, but we don't want the vendor directory to exist or anything like that. But so I found these websites. I found it was called gitignore.io, and you literally provide it with certain things. So you say, like, actually, I want the operating systems are Mac. Macintosh, OS X, and then so I'm an OS X, I want a PHP application, and then you generate it, and it will actually generate a git ignore for you with all the information, a heavily commented git ignore file, which is really useful. The other one's a GitHub repository, which that has lots of git ignores in as well. So it's good if you're starting a new stack or you just want to compose out of a couple of things, your git ignore, because projects can get messy if you include the wrong files that need to be changed per user, per client.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool, actually. I'll have to check that out.
How are you two doing, by the way, with Git? Are you loving it still?
Oh, man. I just... how much I can say, really. I'm not using it enough. Like, literally, my extent at the moment is kind of more private projects and just using Bitbucket and just simple push and pull requests, to be honest with you.
Have you been able to kind of convince them to use Git and then just put, whenever you get a push, it will just do the FTP for you?
It is something we are looking to doing, but there's lots of things changing at the moment, and we're doing a big drive for like e-commerce side of business. So everyone's having a lot of training on Magento and getting lots of accreditations and that kind of stuff. So it's
not more Magento.
Yeah,
no.
But yeah, Git is we are using it now in bits. So it's just hard to get everyone to catch up at the same time. And
I think it's hard. It's a mental shift, but it's also a project. All the projects you have now, it's like, well, merge them in. You think it's just as easy as Git in it, but you need to provide a good process for actually working on this stuff. And I know it's going to take a while at the beginning, but you can't have too much downtime of learning these new things. You still need to be productive, and that's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say that over any programming skill or anything like that, the Git is to learn that before you do anything else.
I completely agree with you.
Git is awesome, I mean, it's saved me so many times. I've had a couple of problems with Git rebasing, which I explained in the podcast before. But like once you get the idea of it and the fact that it's just a chain of commits and it's just a key value store, and it's really simple commands again that are composed together. Because originally, actually, Git there's a lot of boilerplate, not boilerplate, more what they called. They're called like the undercover Git commands that do a lot of hardcore stuff. And originally, those were the commands that everyone used. But then they've added these new commands, which are composed of these under commands, these pipe commands, these hard, really powerful commands to actually make the interface we use today. So again, the Unix philosophy of composing things together to make new things.
Are you still using command line, Ed, or are you using Tower or something like that?
So I actually use a bit of both. I know people don't like GUIs, and they kind of get a bit they're a bit snobby, aren't they? People like terminal.
I like command. Well, I'm not snobby, but
I use Git. I use the terminal most of the time, but I do like checking out diffs and stuff in Tower. And also just the Git history. And also I do really enjoy cherry picking things from Tower. But then doing something like a interactive rebase, you can't do it in Tower. So that's the command line for that. It's really cool. But I am a big fan of Tower. And the new Tower 2, took a bit of time for me to get used to. It's a very different shift in how they think of things, like the process. But yes, as productive now as I was with Tower 1.
I am not familiar with Tower.
So Tower is a Git Git GUI, but it's a very nice one. And the thing is it doesn't matter how you use it. I can use it on the command line. I know the commands, but I prefer using it using the GUI sometimes. Just as long as you're using it, that's all that matters.
The thing is, if you've got all your aliases set up,
well, this is it. The aliases you want, and stuff like that. And that's the other cool thing is again you can extend it. Git space whatever. You can add aliases that way, which allow you then to compose new, functionality on Git. So,
how does that compare?
I've never really had to use cherry pick or any of that stuff.
Oh, sorry, man. I use it quite because we're very branch happy, which is what one of Git's strengths. You can just branch off things. And what I do commonly, one of the things this is quite a good example is so we have a project. So the IOSAT project that's currently going on. And we have master, and there was a couple of things in IOSAT project that I committed to that, which actually the designer needed in master before ahead of time. So instead of merging, the full iOS app branch into master, what I did instead was I just cherry picked. I said I want these two commits, got their shards, and I want to put them into master on their own. or add them to a branch that I then merge in using a pull request. That's how we can typically do the process. But that's really cool for cherry picking. Cherry picking is really interesting. Rebasing is pretty much changing history, which is great if you've got your own branch and you're working on your own branch, but awful and don't do it if you're working with people, especially if you don't notify them that you're going to be doing a rebase, because their history will change too and they won't have a clue what's going on. But it's stuff like, sometimes I like changing the order of commits, and if you do like a good unit of work where you only spec that commit doesn't hit too many different files, it only commits that one change. You can compose commits. You can add commits, like merge commits together, squash them down, saying actually this is now that commit. You can move commits around, saying actually I prefer them to think that we did that before that. You can make it read like a story, really, because that's really what Git is. It's a history. It's a story of how this project has changed over time.
Obviously, I've not used Tower before, but and a couple of people at work, they did want a GUI, and we went with SourceTree because it's.
Sorry, Mike.
Can
you ask your son to be quiet, please?
Sorry.
You went with it because it's free.
Well, we did go with it's free.
And to be honest, you might as well to see if you like it. I mean, what's the harm in trying something if it's free?
What are the selling points of Tower?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the selling points of Tower then it's a very fluid interface for what it does. It displays Git in a very easy understand way.
Yeah.
One thing I would like one of these clients to do though is when you're doing these things, like when you're doing the commits, I would like it just to have a text-like view at the bottom saying what commands it's doing to create that.
That would be
just
cool,
so you could have a learning, because it would help you then get the learning. I haven't seen that yet in any of them. If anyone in the audience knows about it, then let us know, because that's. But yeah, so it provides a really nice interface. It's the best interface I've seen so far, and it's a very Mac-esque looking client, which is nice. I do remember now actually what I was going to talk about, and actually it's good for both of you here. So in Git, obviously you have commits and stuff, so it's the history of your code. We, typically a lot of code, it changes over time, and what you end up having actually is redundant code, stagnant code that actually is dead code. But you're too scared to delete it, so what you do is you comment it out. I mean, in Git repositories, in repositories, what you'll do is you can delete it and you go back in history, but actually people still doing these things, commenting it out, and they don't put like a date of when it was commented out. They don't let anything know, and they just say comment out. If it still works, okay, great. This happens a lot.
Do you remember the Farmbase website in our previous job that there were dates all over that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean,
210109-MB.
That's actually a good thing to do, though, is to time it, because at least then you can say, okay, it's been 2 years now. We can get rid of this. The thing is, though, is especially using like continuous delivery, which code changes a lot of the time, you don't remove the code that you already, because you're scared. And even sometimes in tests, and there's a YouTube video that I'll put in the show notes where this guy was saying he works for Box, like a competitor to Dropbox. And they were saying, like, he found this code. He thought, okay, I can delete this code because my tests run without it. I did a grep, I did a search on the code base. No one's using it, blah, blah, blah. And he removed it. And then it goes live. And then 5 seconds later, they have to revert back to another release, release before it, because it turns out it is getting hit. And it's getting hit dynamically because, because I know, Lewis, you were talking about the fact you're using like magic methods now.
Yes.
Yeah. So
building those in. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So doing that, and then using magic methods, it can't. Static analysis can't work out these things. So what you then want to do what he then came up with this idea is tombstoning, and the idea was that you'd have a function, and then you'd have this method in it called tombstoning. What you're saying is tombstone and the date, and it's a function that all it does is it logs. When that gets used. So what happens in their loop now is that they all say, hey, I don't like this function. Actually, they went through all their functions and added them to every one of them. And they said, functions, CSS, JavaScript, whatever, and said, well, CSS, I suppose pre-process, they may be able to do it. But, they add this tombstone method in. And then what happens is when it gets run in production, anyone that you hit a tombstone and with a date, you remove that tombstone. You don't actually remove the code. You remove the tombstone, saying, okay, that code's still getting hit. And you'll find over time that the ones that don't get hit is the code that's dead and not being used. It's a really simple idea. It's a really simple idea. I mean, you can add a function called tombstone. It just logs to a file, and you can see if this code is ever getting hit. And
put it in your base class, then it just kind of.
Well, Yeah, you could put it in basic. I mean, like functions. Yeah, include a class.
Well, something that in a place that will get hit every time something's done on.
Oh no, so more like in code that does this code even get used anymore? Like, is this function being used anymore? And you're a bit where maybe you haven't got unit tests.
Oh, you actually put it locally, like in the actual code itself.
In the code, you put it in the code, and then you log and see. It's a very simple idea, but it's a very clever idea and powerful idea because then you're able to see truly what code is being used. Obviously, you should have all your code tested, unit tested. But it was funny in the case of Dynamics, dynamic invocation, where the guy couldn't work it out without some fancy. Obviously, they should have done the dynamic invocation. I know that's why dynamic languages are nice, but it's also scary because it's a runtime thing. But I digress on that. But anyway, I thought it was a really interesting idea.
I think that's a great idea because of making my own PHP framework. I'd love to know now because it's obviously I've built on it every time I've had to do something new. I've made something different. But possibly I've built something new that I maybe didn't need to build.
Well, that's it. Well, the thing is, and something new that, now doesn't use certain functionality of the application that you think, can I remove this? And instead of just commenting it out, just tombstone them and see if they get hit. If they get hit, okay, we still use it.
Oh, you mean just plant something in within the actual function itself?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a simple log. It's such a simple idea. It's a simple log thing saying, I still use this. That's pretty much it.
Do that.
It's a really
how is it actually logged?
Well, you could log it anywhere. I mean, you could have a function that logs it to a file, to a database.
Yeah.
And
so generically, they don't actually log it in a particular way.
No. So this is more just a theory, like idea that you could do this in any language. It's really simple idea. I found it on Hacker News, like going through because it was funny because OS X 10.10 source code's been released, which is quite cool.
Oh, it's very cool.
Yes, but people were going through it and noticing actually they had commented out code in it.
Why have they done that?
I think just to be nice to the open source world, maybe.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
Everyone does it.
But yeah, so they were talking about it and saying about tombstoning and then this thing. So it was really interesting how you deal with it.
That is very unlike Apple to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of it they've released open sourced, and I'm not quite sure on their intentions of why. I don't know whether maybe they're using something now that they need to open source it because there's a difference between all the the licensing and stuff. BSD's a little different to GNU. I don't think they're using a GNU. Maybe they are now. I don't know them. I don't know if they're using something that requires them to display all their But to be honest with you, if it was Apple and they wanted to just rebuild something different that was under their license, but I had no idea why.
That is really cool. If only I had time to look at that, but
and it's all lovely C. So and your favorite.
I'd have to learn C first. Yeah.
How's this? Have you started the C++?
I couldn't do the C++ module because
because you've taken the lower Java one, which is in quotes, because even though you know it, why can't you?
Basically, you had to have done the advanced Java module to do C++.
And I'm guessing there's no way of you being able to do the advanced.
I'm not allowed to do the advanced Java module because I've done the advanced OO module, and it's like. There's so much red tape, so I ended up doing this cognitive neural networks.
The thing is, it's so against each other, conflicting.
It's crazy. But I'm happy with the modules I've got, and I just need to crack on. So But I would have loved to have done that. So it's a shame. But there you go.
Also, you've got the keys to your house, and we're coming over next Sunday. Well, next Saturday. Sorry.
Next Saturday. Yeah.
Come over, and you're going to have to all come around mine. Well, Lou, you came around mine last weekend, and Bud, you're going to have to come around and see the place.
You've flown the nest.
I've flown the nest, and we've got a pool table, which is awesome.
It's very cool. How's it going?
Are you any better?
Lou, no, I still suck. Even having a table in your house, it still means I just suck.
Ed got beat by his girlfriend.
I got beat multiple times by my girlfriend. I mean, all over the shop. So it's going really well, man. The only thing is the internet issue, where actually, as I said, at the beginning of this podcast, that I am at my parents' house. I spend more time in my house now because of they have the internet than I did before, which is always funny. Yeah. So we're getting internet. the 20th of November, and we've had some issues working out to get either Virgin or get BT. And it was quite funny because, so BT, you ring up BT and you say, okay, like internet, this is a new build house, and you say, you give it, you know, and they'll say, oh, we can get you 8 megabit. And I'm like, oh, can't I get Infinity? And they're like, oh, no, you only can get a max of 8 megabit. And we're like, oh, that's a bit rubbish. But it's funny because we're thinking, hang on a minute, but the people, our landlords live next to us, and they've got Infinity, and the person next door to us also can get Infinity, because they've checked that. Why can't we get it? And then, this is funny, so we then ring up Sky and say, Sky, you know, and they say, actually, we can't find you on our system. And I thought, well, that's weird, because BT have said that we can get 8 megabit. And then I look outside, I ring up my dad, because I haven't got a clue, and my dad comes over and he's like, yeah, they haven't actually connected up the telephone pole, so they don't know you exist. No. But then that makes me think, BT, how does BT, like, they just put a blanket, oh, you're going to get 8 megabit, probably through 3G, or so, you know, like, they don't even know I exist. They don't even know my location, so that's a bit bad. We ended up going with BT because it's less infrastructural damage to the house, because we're only renting it, blah, blah, blah. I just want internet, and we will get eventually Infinity, I hope. But yeah, it's been a bit of a ball ache, and I miss the internet. I got my Mac last Tuesday, and I started playing with it, and I'm like, I don't really have much to do without the internet. The internet is is the world.
It's so true, isn't it?
It's like, it's playing Minesweeper.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Can you get that on a Mac? I don't know.
I'm sure you can download it from the App Store or something, but it's just crazy. You're just like, there's not much to do without the internet. And mobile phone coverage also is awful where I live. So it's more the fact that we need the internet to have like the boosting.
We couldn't bring a blooming taxi last week, could we?
And you didn't like the chicken balls from the Chinese.
Well, they didn't like me.
They didn't like you.
Oh dear. Bad memories. We had a bad night after a kebab in Maidstone last January.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, was it?
I defy you to say yours was a worse night than mine.
What, really? Are you joking?
Well, it was bad. This isn't something our listeners need to hear.
No, it is. It so is. We should end the podcast on that.
Just let you know, my speed prediction for broadband at a new place is up to 1 megabit download. So
really?
Yeah. Expect more quality podcasts when we record.
So when are you moving in?
Hopefully middle of January is the plan.
Oh Christ! So even next week? I thought you'd be in.
When you see the house next week, you'll understand why. But basically, it's being gutted.
You've literally got us, to come over to do like, what is this?
To build the house.
Peter Andre's like turn it around in half an hour type thing.
I'm not even sure how this has happened. I refuse to do any gardening where I live now. So why the hell I'm travelling down to Faversham?
Because he's conned you with alcohol. It's such a genius move.
Is that what it is?
I'm going to buy like an incinerator next week, so that once we've done all the gardening and stuff, we can literally have a like bonfire. Because it's going to be like bonfire night, isn't it?
Can I bring all my shredding down?
Yeah, bring whatever, and I'm going to
cut it all down.
I'm going to bring.
So cool.
I'm going to get some cheap fireworks. So
that'd be really awesome. I'm looking forward to that. That'd be cool.
We'll take
also we're going to Ascot, aren't we? You're going to Ascot as well. We're going to be. Do we have to be? We have to be suited and booted, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fraser. When you listen to this, are you coming or not?
That's the thing. Actually, that's a good question. And also, I need to ask you something, Mickey. So my girlfriend and Lewis, who isn't my girlfriend, but he's a close friend.
I've got together.
Both. They got together. They both don't approve my jersey wearing.
No, it's awful.
It's it's my loungewear. It's your homeware, But no, they firmly are against it. My girlfriend actually took out it and said, this is stuff you need to take home to wash. And one of it was just more my things, and it was tucked under. So she just wanted me to leave it at home, really.
Basically, what you have to realise is when you have a girlfriend or /wife, is basically you lose control of what you actually wear, and you will be told what to wear.
I just like that homely thing about them, And I feel like a rebel. Sometimes I put it on now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a rebel. Oh dear.
Ed, to be honest, if you want to wear the vest, and to hell what me or Mike or probably the rest of the entire world thinks. If your girlfriend doesn't like it, don't wear it.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
Amazing advice. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say, guys.
Depending on what your requirements are for the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically.
Oh, dear. Anyway,
we should probably wrap up because I need to go and change a baby.
It's been a great. I've got to change a baby. It's been a long time. Yeah.
What's wrong with the one you got?
Nice one.
Well, guys, it's been awesome, and hopefully I should be around. Well, maybe we'll hopefully do a cheeky podcast next week when we're around yours.
That
bring out the laptop. I'm sure you've got a laptop. Actually, we can just get the Yeti set up, and we can just.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh Christ! All right.
We might as well.
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we should we just
We
make
get the girls
listeners aware.
involved.
Yeah, it'd be a laugh.
Yeah.
All
But we
right,
should say that we're not promising a podcast.
No,
next
no.
week,
Well,
but-
I mean, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it
we
goes.
are trying, people. We are trying, and we'll try and get
It's been a hard time. I mean, life happens.
Yeah,
you know, but
life happened. Yeah,
life happens, and you know, we can sort it out and we can work on it. But no, it's great.
Exactly.
It's great talking to you guys again, and listeners,
Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
you've enjoyed it. We've had a good old little
Absolutely.
chit chat.
yeah, awesome.
Who wants
All
to
right.
say? Who wants to say goodbye? Go for it, Mickey.
Okay, goodbye. We miss you.
Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You've been the
Yes,
one.
James
You've been
Bond.
the one for me.
Good work. Yeah.
The,
Bye, guys.
the show
Bye.
must go on.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to 3 Devs and a Maybe. You can contact us at contact@3devsandamaybe.com or follow us on Twitter at 3 Devs and a Maybe.